there has to be a partnership with medicine. It has to be that way. It can't be, come in, this is my problem, let me walk away and everything's going to be fixed. It has to be a, hey, this is working for me. Maybe we try this, maybe we try that. If we are not healthy, that is the most important foundation of anyone's home.
Welcome to Your Second Act, the podcast that proves that life doesn't have to end at 40, 50, or even 60, because when it comes to living your best life, age is just a number. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another inspiring episode. What I'm loving about midlife is so many of us are really stepping into our power to make a difference, not only for ourselves, but for the good of all women. And today's guest is a perfect example of that. Hema is the co-founder of Ponti Health, located in Surrey Hills in Sydney, and it's a women's health clinic that's redefining how we approach midlife care. Her story began in her 40s when she found herself navigating the overwhelming challenges of perimenopause. Like so many of us, she went through endless appointments, expensive supplements, and late night Googling, only to find that nothing truly helped. The care she encountered felt fragmented and really impersonal. But instead of settling for what wasn't working, Hema decided to change the system. She had a vision for something better, something women truly need. And that vision became Ponti Health, a clinic that's all about science, support, and compassionate care. And in today's conversation, we'll explore how Hema went from feeling frustrated and stuck to creating a groundbreaking space for women's health. So if you've ever felt like the system wasn't built for you, this conversation is definitely for you. At the end of last year, I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across your account, Ponti Health, and I thought, oh, what's this about? Apart from it looking very bougie, I love, the colors and everything else. I thought, what's this about? Yeah, no, very nice. So I decided to come and pay you a visit and
Mm-hmm.
was really, really impressed by this women's clinic that you have put together. And because it's not every day you come across someone who's so frustrated by the lack of knowledge and support in their peri and menopause space that they decide to start their own women's health clinic. And I really think that is a bold move. So, can you take us back to the moment you realized I'm sick of going through what I'm going through? There
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a change. And what made you think of Ponti Health?
I'm calling this a little revolution, a small petit revolution in women's health, because I got really angry. And I can't think of any other word. And I'm not necessarily an angry person. The reason for the anger is I'm now 51. I think I started my perimenopausal journey when I was 39 or 40. My bleeding got awfully bad. And I'm talking about I was always very active as a human, always exercised. But at 39, 40, I went, something's really not right. I was living in London at the time and also in Hong Kong between two places. Work just did, that was my life. But my musculoskeletal situation, my God, how do I even start that story? I went from exercising, weights, Pilates, yoga, the works, walking everywhere, and you're living in our cities. I always had the opportunity to walk to going, I can't even walk down to the corner store. So something went wrong. I went for a shoulder reconstruction surgery at 39, 40. And it was big. It's, I did lots of exercise, Aussie kid, did all the surfing, the sailing, but no one taught us how to do this, right? Growing up, we just did what we wanted to. So I did have significant damage in my shoulder. However, at the time, the conversation should have been had about whether my estrogen was playing a part. I had great surgeons, great doctors, great physio. I'm perfectly fine on this shoulder. However, it was so bad that it was a 2-year prolonged process. There's musculoskeletal bleeding. That's when I think it started. I moved back to Australia and I struggled. I had UTIs even when I wasn't sexually active. I've always had those over the years, but the UTIs would, it plays a mental part on me. And I don't know about anyone else. How many antibiotics and like Keflexes? I mean, I had a dash going traveling abroad, and this is for work. I traveled a lot. I always had very big regional footprints to handle for work. to take care of rather. And so I'd have a stack of meds, and it would be Monurol, which is this French sachet that one of my amazing doctors said you should start doing this, which we prescribe here, by the way. It's more expensive, but you hit it on the head straight away. I had Keflex, I had painkillers. This was my life. 45 hit, I couldn't open a door. So when you came in to see Ponti Health, you'd notice that all our chairs are certain heights because I had this great Minoti lounge, right? Worked really hard, wanted to buy the Minoti lounge, bought the Minoti lounge. First thing that went to my best friend's house was the Minoti lounge. I'm like, take it, great, don't want it. I can't sit on it. So I'd look at go to bars, go to restaurants, still very active. And I'd be like, I can't even sit on that chair because it's so low. And this is someone who's so active experiencing that, kept it all internal. Although my girlfriends and I talk about everything, this was something I didn't quite articulate. Oh, you got a UTI. Oh, that sucks. Move on. Have you got URL? Doesn't work, by the way. Have you got this? Oh, your body's aching, go for massages. I calculated so that between 46 and 48 was a pretty tough time, and physically never articulated it in a way that I should have. So I'm blaming myself as well. Finally found a decent doctors, the physicians I found, but we still couldn't hit the nail on the head. And these are pretty good, educated, worldly doctors. I thought, what is happening to my body? That was all fine. I could deal with the fact I couldn't open a door. Exercise obviously pretty much stopped. My PT was like, what's happening with your knees? What's happening with your elbows? I had hot spots, pains, the works. I eventually found someone who started to have the conversation about HRT and said, are you open to having HRT? And I said, 100%. I can't continue living like this. I support myself, my family. Of course, I've got to go to work. Of course, I've got to sit and talk in board meetings and not lose my sentences, which is what was happening, by the way. I'd be talking and I'd be like, what did I just say? And imagine being the only woman in the room, the only woman with access to these rooms and losing the thing that you've always known you had in your back pocket. I'm good with my numbers. I'm good with the people story in organizations. I'm good with growing organizations to $1 billion marks. That was my job. And I'd be the only woman in the room and I'd lose my words. I was brave enough, Michelle, to say, I'm so sorry. I don't know what just happened. I'll have to come back to you on that. I worked for a great organization with incredible bosses, incredible leaders, that I could hold my own vulnerability in those spaces. And I still thank them for it. But reason I got angry, and I think I shared this with you. Here I am sitting at Invest Victoria. Every time a private equity company starts its massive fundraising, these are billions and billions of dollars. I work for a US firm. So it starts in, oddly enough, in Singapore or Australia, between the two, because the Australian super funds are very large investors globally. So private equity companies come to Australia, ours being one of them. We came, and being an Aussie, being here, I'd always, go down to Melbourne, although I wasn't working in the fund aspect of that business. And I was sitting in this room at 6 a.m. Every meeting starts at 6. And I'll never forget it. You always see these hot air balloons. I think it's from the Yarra or something. And I always have a moment going, okay, this is going to be a good day because the sun's out in Melbourne. Hopefully we get the funds we need to go do what we need to do. So there's always me and another lady sitting in that room. And for her privacy, I'm not going to mention her name. She's a very, very senior lady. She's super smart. She's in her late 60s, early 70s now. I just love her, right? I'm going to send her this podcast because she knows what I'm talking about. I looked at her and I said, the hell is happening? Why were the only two women in this room? There's 61 people in that room, by the way, where decisions about yours and my money are being made. That day was a low female head count day, very low. Lots of junior analysts and stuff. Generally, they come into the room, then they leave the room, and then the people pouring coffee and tea. So it's me and this incredible human and a couple of other people, but they were just there as research assistants. But the seats at the table was just us. She said, Hema, we're all dropping off our purchase like flies. And I went, what do you mean? She's, Victoria, grew up in Geelong. She's just awesome. I love her Aussie vernacular when it comes out in these American rooms. I said, what do you mean? She goes, we're doing this research and we're wondering why women between 45 and 49 are ceasing work. They're stopping work and they're activating income protection. So they're accessing the income protection insurance at X dollars. And it was a pretty high amount, Michelle. It was higher than what the average wage in Australia is, $74,000 per annum. I think it was sitting at $180,000 a year. So these are women earning a significant amount of money with income protection insurance. So some financial nous to be able to tick that box. Everyone, please open up your super funds now and tick that box. It's for free. It's $4 a month. Generally, people are paying for. Most people don't know they have it. And they're saying, I'm mentally not feeling in a space to go back to work. And I said, keep talking to me about this. This was day one of that conversation. We're now sitting on day, I don't know, 4.5, 5 years later of that conversation. That piece got published. So the statistics were between 45 and 49, 55% of women had cited mental health conditions, not illnesses, conditions, and they wanted to stop working because of that. Now they're diving into the research, I believe so. I'm not quite sure. I haven't gone back into those rooms for a while. And she's retired, and most of the people in that room have decided to go do something else. But that dead over what is happening. And then go back 3 years or 2 years. I'm being interviewed for some really senior roles across the country, and some of them ASX 50 companies, some of them not. But generally, I've always worked in the American sphere. So I was like, oh, let me look at what the Aussie firms are doing. Again, more men named Andrew than there were women in these boardrooms. So the stories just weren't lining up. And I have a really big calling in life to make sure that we leave the door open for those that come behind us, whether men or women. That simple act of if we don't create equitable opportunities for everyone around us, the world is going to get less kinder and less affable for happiness. And I don't believe we can get to a happy point without being productive, without earning a decent sum that you're happy with to be able to protect your family. Back to Maslow's hierarchy is just what we want. But women are now 50% of the workforce. I fought all my life to have women as part of the workforce. For parental leave in organizations, now that's another 6-hour conversation. It might require wine, but it's so hard to say to mostly male boards, and it's not all men. It's not a male problem. We just need to have a voice in the rooms that exist. And if we stop it to work, that voice is gone. And there are more women in cultures right now over the age of 50 than there should ever be. It's a shame on our country. Shame on us. That's our mums. And every time I look at a woman, I think I shared this with you as well. Our local Woolies parking there, I see women hobbling. You know that there's a bit of a hobble that happens. That's a hip challenge. That's osteoporosis coming up. And I'm seeing all these things and I'm just like, you've lost your light. So I have a really bigger calling than just the medical aspect of it for women to just go, we need to start taking care of ourselves and we're not. We're just not. So this is why this little revolution has started. I got very angry, and we've put everything behind this me individually, as a family. My partner and I is also my business partner, the other two business partners on board, and the people that have supported us on this journey. So it's a very personal thing. This is not some corporate practice. Everything is done. Everything was done very personally.
I've never really heard of a specific women's clinic. Are there many?
There are some. So if you're on the really pointy end of the pointy end, you've got Wiria, which is Professor John Eden and Dr. Amanda B. Brilliant, brilliant, right? Like this is the pointiest of the pointiest end of women's health before you go into the public services. So we've got incredible healthcare in this country. Having lived in 6 countries, I can tell you, we should be so proud of what we've created. This is so wrong. I get goosebumps when I talk about what we have. I am so proud to be paying the taxes I do for healthcare we have, and I'll constantly fight for it. So that is the pointy end. You go into the public services, you're taken care of very differently. So before that, Viria would come in. And then you've got Clinic 66 in Chatswood, which is fantastic for women's reproductive health, which has done some incredible stuff. The Inner West Women's Health have also done things. However, they do this huge breadth, pregnancy support, fertility support, sexual support. However, it's not really a focused midlife support. And the challenge with that is you have doctors that might be interested in it. So they go and educate themselves. And GPs, by the way, I think they've got the worst life, I'm going to call it. I have so much respect for them. How are they supposed to know when my niece, who's 2 years old, goes in for an ear infection to my dad, who's slightly getting dementia right now, potentially, or my UTIs, or my son who's 19, who's fallen off and done something, So I don't, the whole general practice world is coming to a real come to Jesus moment right now. But imagine being a GP. You're supposed to have 50 hours on top of your clinical hours, which is the only way you make money as a general practitioner, by the way, top of your clinical hours to go and educate yourself. So to get the GPs to do the midlife health, I think was the harder thing. So maybe it's again chicken and egg. I don't think it's been researched enough, which we now know to be true. So I don't think anyone really focuses on midlife. Jean Hales in Victoria, they've done, they get government funding for this, and they've been at the forefront of this. They've got a clinic and I believe a telehealth service as well. But apart from that, there are little pockets of something like Ponti Health, but not quite in this entirety. No.
So tell me, what can a woman expect when she goes to Ponti Health?
I promised everyone no bad lighting, and we literally have done that. We had to put in the code lighting in for medical practices, which is what I call 7-Eleven lighting, Michelle, which is awful. One needs to look and feel like rubbish when they're walking into a doctor's office.
Look you there. I did want to say that the clinic, it looks like you're walking into a spa, a day spa.
Yeah.
And though you might be talking about the lighting, no, it's very welcoming. It just automatically you walk in and you feel at ease. You don't feel like you're going into any type of medical practice. So you've hit the nail on the head that way. It's really, really lovely. Sorry, tell me again.
I'm so glad you said that. We do a little dance of joy every time it goes, oh my God, this looks amazing. Because I spent hours on this, hours. And worked with an incredible architect builder and a core project. So we shout from the rooftops, really beautiful human that's pulled this together. So with the lighting, they wanted a particular type of lighting. So we put it in, they being the authorities, and I don't even know the details of this. We ripped it out and put in the good right lining because I refused to. And that came at a cost. All this comes at a cost. No hard edges, soft corners, and yeah, every bit of curve that's in here. It's that sense of a female body evolving as well because we're all curvy.
Analogy, I like that. Yeah.
The sense of a warm hug was what we wanted. And I also wanted science to have this because between the ages of 40 and 50, I spent £22,000. I actually did this in one of my many moments of what am I doing? Am I really putting all our effort and resources into this business that's never existed in its form? I did the research, £22,000 on everything like the minerals, vitamins, the things over the counter, this, that. So you can imagine, right? Like this, there's a whole bigger drive for what for Ponti Health as well. Now, going back to the clinical experience is we're saying medicine should hold a different, and science needs to listen and be heard and have a like a journeying relationship with the patient, with the client as well. So when you walk into Ponti, I hope everyone feels that the intent is to welcome you into your health journey. So you walk in as a comprehensive patient. So we have two types of appointments. You come in for a 1 hour appointment with your GP and get concierge services attached to that, which I'll touch on in a second. Or you can come in for a single appointment as well, which is also it's only half an hour. We only have half an hour as minimum point because we don't believe medicine can be done in 15-minute increments where, I mean, Medicare has a 6-minute time frame for a billing that I don't even know what happens in 6 minutes. It's like, hi, my name's Hema. Put your bag down. Take a seat with my achy joints. That's 6 minutes done, right? So we changed the appointment structure to a comprehensive appointment if you need your you need yourself checked at different checkpoints in your life, and ideally you should be doing this at 25, 35, 40, 45, 50 onwards from there. Or you could come in for the single appointments. You come in, obviously reception checks you in. We don't have a 26-page onerous forms because we worked out, we did a research piece for 120 doctors. No one reads them. No one reads these 26-page forms because doctors don't have time. So we reduced that form to pretty much what do you want out of the appointment. So hopefully that articulation happens there. You meet with one of our nurses who are also midwives and are quite experienced in the public and private sector, which is all our physicians and all our clinicians. And post that, you meet with the doctor. And after the doctor, we might do pathology, we do ECG on site, we've got infusions, got all sorts of things that are available here. So everything's under the one roof. So you don't have to scramble around Sydney trying to find physicians, wait for wait lists to come up, work out whether you need to take your ferritin in. All of this, we've just solved the pieces of that puzzle. After that, you go into the concierge I'm going to call it the concierge bucket of services, where the concierge team will come in and send you a text to say, "Hey, Michelle, welcome to Ponti Health. This is our number. Text us. Please don't go to Google. We will answer it with a nurse or a doctor answering questions. And also, you'll be getting an email with your management plan." Now, this email, we call it the management plan. I'm not calling it, it's not a medical term. It's just what we've come up with. It's pretty much a tabulated email, Michelle, to say, "Hey, these are the script prescriptions that you're going to get from the chemist. And here are your next steps." The reason why putting the prescriptions there is most chemists will pop the stickers on the boxes and then we throw the boxes away. I did that last night with my androfen, with my testosterone cream. Of course, the box is the first to go in the bin. So we don't want any confusion because we know that the midlife aspect for women, there's a lot of things going on in our lives, children, aging parents, us, partners, work. You don't need to walk out of the doctor's surgery with more questions. You should have all of this in your email. So we put that all on there. And then the next steps, your blood's been done. What's the follow-up? Now, in a comprehensive appointment, a lot of things get discussed. And our doctors are very good. And some of our doctors use AI just to record it. Most medical practices are using this. However, some that don't, we still articulate that to say, "Hey, we're sending you for a CT coronary calcium score because women over 40 need that. We're sending you for a DEXA scan." Don't start me on that, Michelle. That's another podcast.
I had my first last year, but again, I didn't know about it. So it was only working out with someone at the gym and they said, "Oh, I've just gone for one." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And she said, "A bone density scan." I thought, okay, I need to go. So again, it's all these things that we don't know about because we don't talk about.
Correct. And also, do you know a heart condition? And I should have got these statistics. I'll share it with you later. Women's hearts are not doing so well. How many times have you? I had a stethoscope put on my heart the first time by Dr. Canellan, who's now my GP, who I work with. In 15 years, Michelle. I was like, "What is that? What are you doing?"
I don't remember the last time someone checked my heart.
"Okay, on your heart." And she goes, "I'm going to check your ears." I'm like, "But my ears are fine." She goes, "Naima, you're a patient now." And I'm like, "But my heart's fine. I'm so healthy." She goes, "No, no, this is what you need to do because heart disease for women in midlife, it's huge. It's huge." And I will share the statistics. I will put a mental note to share that with you later. So that's the detail. And we also go into the detail of, "Hey, you're living in the northern beaches. Let's find you somewhere close so that you're not scrambling and making those calls on your own." This is where the concierge team comes in to say, and I'm leading that team because clearly I can't be a doctor or a nurse. I can, done this service aspect of it is what I'm really leaning into. We've never done this. We don't know where we're going with this. We're still having everything in house. So that's all in a letter. And you get that one email for inquiries at Ponti Health. So if you want to communicate via email or text, because we know calling, waiting on the line, the phones are very busy. They're not ringing at the moment because I've actually had to turn my phone off. It's quite significant. Medical practices get very busy. So we know that one of the break points is you're waiting on the phone for so long, then my calls get hung up with my specialists on a regular basis, which irritates me to no end. So we've cut all the clutter and the noise out to say, you can text us, you can email us to communicate with us. Also, if it's anything clinical, we take it to email. So that is the experience. And you walk out of here with your comprehensive appointment as well. You get an additional 15-minute consult the week after. Now, this is a big, big game changer. How many times have you and I got bloods and we get a copy? Some of us get copies, some of us don't. And you're like, "Oh, there's no red marks on it." Some of those, some of those blood count based on a male body, by the way, it's not a
Let's not even go there.
been tested on women. Be that.
Yes, who knew?
Knew that. There's a great book called Invisible Women. I'd encourage everyone to pick it up if you feel like a bit of an adrenaline rush that you didn't need that day. But we go through those bloods with you to go, "Hey, Michelle, you know what? It's not bad, but your trends are showing something." So I'm going to use me as a great guinea pig as an example as well. Iron infusions are common in my life. My diet's pretty bad. Like I try, then I don't try, and I've got this adenomyosis. So yes, I've got all this incredible care, but I do need iron infusions, right? My energy levels are bad as a result of it. But doctors can look at it as a singular point and go, "Okay, your number is X when it should be Y," or they can look at the trends. What we do is call up your DHM or whoever that you've got your bloods from, and we start to create trend data for the patient. So it's not just a single point. And to go, hey, Michelle, you came in, you were at 80 on this, you're at 200 that day, now you're back to 50, you're going down on your blood. So let's get you an infusion before you hit X level. So that conversation happens, or just educating the patient. And it happens between either our doctors take that call or our nursing staff take make that call to the patient.
I think that is so important because personally, and I think I'm like a lot of people, I get it in the mail, my results. I have a look and I might compare it to, you know, how they give you the 2 previous years. And I think, "Oh, what's flagged?" And then that's the end of it. But then I have what I call my white witch doctor up the road from me. She's a naturopath. I take it to her and she explains it to me. And that's where I get really angry because I know I can go back to my GP and say, "Can you explain this?" And she's an amazing GP and she will, but I have to do that. I've got to go out of my way to find out. So if you've got someone who's actually tracking it for you and saying, "Hey, let's have a look at this," I think that's amazing because that's where we get into trouble. We let these things slide and then we get to the point where hopefully it's not too late, but it's like, "Oh, okay, now it's become a big issue." Whereas if we had caught it earlier, it's manageable and we can continue living, you know, a normal, healthy life. So I really like that point.
Exactly. It's funny you talk about a friend of mine, Amanda Redditch in Melbourne. She said years ago, she goes, have you checked your iron levels? I was like, no. Why does my gorgeous girlfriend have remember my iron levels? And guess what? I was super anemic, super anemic. So all the doctors I had across the world, by the way. So this one because the time, and this is the thing about slow medicine. One of our pillars, 4 pillars of Ponti's slow medicine. You cannot come in and go, I am just going to do X to fix Y. I need just this to fix that. There has to be an investigative part, and the investigative part takes admin time. On my desk right now is a blood test I need for 7 a.m. for my cortisol levels because I'm seeing an endocrine for my female pattern hair loss in my family. I haven't done this. She sent this to me on the 20th of December because I can't find a 7 a.m. blood collection place. I own Ponti Health. Of course, one of our nurses are going to come in and do this for us, or we've got a collection service that we're offering through our pathology partner. But this is what I mean. I'm in the thick of organizing admin for this entire business, and I haven't done my cortisol testing from December that my incredible endocrines asked for. It gets busy. This morning I woke up, the dog needs to be fed, needs to be walked. My 19-year-old son, uni break, can you do it, Rohan? Trying to get the food sorted. We've got friends in from overseas. Everything's happening. The last thing on my mind is this. It's cumbersome. So what we're trying to do is take the admin burden of this off. And the other thing is the recommendations. This is me. This is not Ponti Health. I'm not a doctor. We've just got word that some DEXA machines are better than others because they give you better data because of the collection of data. So I'm of South Asian background, South Indian of South Asian background, very different genome. And so I had a DEXA machine, a DEXA scan 6 weeks ago, and the results came back. The endocrinologists were like, we want you to go to another one. So I went to another one yesterday. It was me and now 85-year-olds waiting at Vinny's bone densitometry, by the way. Very quick. Radiation is very low. The team, the actual technicians sitting there with you took 10 minutes. I was in workout gear. So I'm getting a second one because that first one said nothing. So it took an endocrine and our GP who educated themselves on more than they needed to have that discussion about it. So going back to your DEXA scan, Michelle, maybe you and I need to have a conversation about whether you need to go to this other machine, which is a GE machine, to get it retested because I'm osteopenic on my hips. And I just told you before how much exercise I do. So I need to sit down with our dietetics, the dietitian, sit down with the exercise physiologist now and my physio. So I'm on a care plan to get these access points for me so that I can turn that osteopenia around. And I can't eat any more protein. I feel like it's my full-time job at the moment.
Oh, and it's so boring.
Oh God, someone
You don't want to. Oh, and I'm not big on protein, but it's constantly in your face. You need to have it. It has to be the biggest portion on your plate.
I'd read this. I was on a podcast as I normally am. I walk and it's my big thing to walk to work. Um, 1.8 grams, apparently, I need to check this with our incredible dietitian, Cara, is what per kilogram of body weight. So I'm 57 kilos. That's a lot of protein, Michelle.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sitting there drinking protein shakes, but I'm going to have to get onto something because one of my shakes has got all these vitamins and minerals. I I can't do this on my own, and I don't want some influencer on Instagram telling me what to do with my bone health. Because today's appointment at Vinny's for me, it was me and about 45 other women, older women in their Z frames, all over the age of 70. And I was like, I cannot be that. And none of my patients can be that. And they were they're in pain. Osteoporosis is not for the mile high. It's not. So something has to give. And bones, one of our endocrinologists is coming on board. What he said was, "Hey man, I don't know if you've ever heard this." He goes, "Hey, my bones and skin are identical." I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Our skin ages, our bones age at the same rate as our skin ages, but we can see the skin aging. Our bones are brittle, not to forget pregnancy, hormonal imbalances." And he's like, this is a big part of it. So we're bringing a lot of the bone health aspect of it. Keep a lookout for it. We want to absolutely lean into into bones with the women's bones aspect of it in the next phase of our growth. And that's going to be the endocrinologist that we're bringing on board who focus on osteoporosis before it becomes osteoporosis, by the way.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is it's definitely a one-stop shop that someone can go in there. And also it's about educating yourself. And I think there are a lot of women who find sitting down, researching, reading is a lot, and I'm one of them. I There's too much conflicting evidence. There's so much out there that you think, oh, this is too hard. But if you can find a place and someone to say, for your body type, Michelle, for the results that your blood test has come back with, this is what you need to focus on. And I think a lot of us don't do that. And, and then we get to this stage where we're dealing with lots of perimenopausal symptoms, menopause, and women are going crazy. And it's like, take HRT, don't take HRT. That could give you breast cancer. It's like it's on and on and on. It is way too much. No wonder women suffer with breakdowns, leaving the workforce. I had a lady on the podcast the other day who said, I used to be sharp as a tack. I used to lead a team. I felt that I had to leave because I couldn't do it anymore. I was having 17 hot flushes within an hour. She said, it just depleted me. So in the end, she made the decision to leave on her own accord as well, because she was ready to. But she said, I worry there are so many people like myself who feel there are no other options because as much as the information is out there, it's not out there enough. And that's why I really am passionate about talking about it. It is so important. And when I came across your clinic, I thought, yes, this is brilliant. And more people need to know about it because, we need a voice. And
Yeah, it's the voice. This is what, and you and I giving it a voice because it's the most. I can't, again, I've got to be very careful, right? Now that it's a medical practice, we've got all sorts of rules and regulations. It is so under researched, women's health. I am not kidding you that my patch has apparently not been tested on women. I'm very probably tested on women.
what the hell? What's it tested on? An animal? It's crazy.
Yeah. But it is very, there's a book. I am going to send this to you. Do you read or you're an Audibles person?
I prefer Audible.
I'm going to send this to you, please. And again, do not do it when you're having a stressful morning with the kid. Ready for the adrenaline boost that's going to hit your system because you are going to get angry. You're going to get angry. So this is an anger-driven book. So to everyone, Invisible Women, you're going to get really cross. So be prepped when you're reading it or listening to it. That is why this intelligence needs to come. And that is why we're open. So we've created this as a center of excellence. So we've got our GPs. Mental health is so important for women because ADHD props its head up. Anything that you had in your pubescent years props its head up. And over the age of 40, the psychiatrist in seat, my business partner and my life partner, Dr. Tandon, he started seeing more women being prescribed mental health medications. I'm being very careful with my words, that really needed to be looked at for perimenopause. So he'd send them to an endocrinologist because the GPs that they were being that their patients are coming through confused. They were like, okay, let's send them to a specialist, which is exactly what they should have done. He couldn't quite doesn't prescribe HRT because that's just the way the medical world works. So he would send them to the endocrine. The endocrine's like, oh, this is clearly perimenopausal. The endocrine had sent it back to the GP. Now, these cases, we're doing an event next week with proper medical event with cases being talked about, is a specific case, but that should not be happening. And that's got to do with education. It's got, we blame our doctors for too much. The system is actually stacked against them as well. Think about 50 hours of awake time to go and train yourself on your own dime, by the way, on top of your insurance, on top of this. And you want to bulk bill some patients because that's your calling in your life, because everyone does that. And your patient outcomes are negligible sometimes because they don't see you after the first appointment because they've come in for one antibiotic or one thing. Where's the follow up? So that's what we're doing very differently. It's a case management type of, it's almost account management, right? You go buy Salesforce right now, you got an account manager who's like, hey, Hema, how's it going? What can we do differently? This is the conversation that needs to happen. We do have to tread on very soft ground because it's never been covered what we're doing. We don't even know whether this is going to work. We think the patients are liking it because there's an easy mode of communication, but we're falling forward with our patients on this. And there is no silver bullet, by the way, in mid age. There is none. So before we started talking, I talked about my personal HRT journey, and it's quite fascinating because I started on one. It's because I'm in lockstep with my doctors, that I can continue being on this and being able to have this conversation without one instance of brain fog in the last 25 minutes, because I can do that. Because it's no, she's going to fix me or he's going to fix me. There has to be a partnership with medicine. It has to be that way. It can't be come in, this is my problem. Let me walk away and everything's going to be fixed. It has to be a, hey, this is working for me. Maybe we try this. Maybe we try that. That conversation, what slow medicine is about. That conversation of the importance of the doctors being supported by everyone else in this sphere. So I started saying this, sorry. It was GP, psychiatrists, psychologists. We have someone starting soon. We've got endocrinologists, very important because they specialize in PCOS, PMDD, because we're getting younger women coming in. We're not going to say no to our younger female patients coming in. And it was the first thing we had to do is pivot in our first week. People like, why can't I come in? I've got PMDD that's being, I don't think anyone's taking care of me. Can I come in? So we opened us services offering to that as well. But the doctor also has all these other doctors. They walk out of their rooms, Michelle, and they're like, hey, Dr. Pereira, this has happened. What do you think? So that conversation is what we call the multidisciplinary team. We have a review that the doctors attend every 8 weeks, and that's part of going education. But they're also doing this in the tea rooms to say, I've got patient X. Of course, no one's details are ever discussed. They do things about this, but your single doctor that you're seeing has a team around them.
Wonderful. Yeah.
They're not tenant doctors, which is what a lot of medical practices have. There's a great conviviality. We spend a lot of time talking about patient outcomes and how we want our patients to feel, not now, but 24 months from now as well.
And touching on what you said before, how you had to pivot in your first week about allowing, say, younger women to come in. I actually, having two young adult daughters, I'm excited about that because if they can educate themselves from an early age, and if they can have a doctor who has their history, that as they move into that perimenopause, they're educated, they understand the symptoms that we did. And I didn't know I was going through that. I didn't even know what the hell it was. So our Gen Xers, we are making the change. And I applaud you for doing what you've done because there has to be more of it. I know of many women who are suffering, and no one needs to suffer. And I was going to ask you, how has it been received, the clinic? I mean, women, what have they said to you after they leave?
It's so lovely. So we can't solicit Google reviews being a medical practice, right? We can't. And I come from a corporate world where always please send us a review because we need to know. Can't do that. So it's come naturally from the market, which is huge. People are sending someone today, just before we started this conversation, a patient wants to work for us because she's never felt so lovely and protected in an environment. So imagine coming in as a patient going, will you have job opportunities in the future? That is the greatest. My practice manager and I were just talking, Priya and I. Priya's smiling. She goes, I've been working as practice managers for so many years and no one's ever done this. God, we want to work. It is being received well. We've had a couple of, I like talking about the times where it hasn't been received well, is the silver bullet situation. We've had one instance when someone's come in saying, this doctor did not give me what I wanted and I don't feel good. We've just given them, we've said, okay, fine, we're not the right person for you, but please do not forget the conversation you had at the doctor's office because you do need to go and look at X, Y, Z. So we've had one out of 150, which I'm fine with. And the silver bullet conversation is a big one. We cannot all fix everything. You and I are still going to go through our journey. So I'm still aching. My aches and pains haven't gone. Is it how the worst being 10 out of 10? No, it's a good 3 out of 10, but it's not 10 out of 10, right? It's not, we're not going to be our 25-year-old selves. And that's the conversation that we need to have in this sense that, and this is where the over medicalization and menopause conversation, I got angry when I first heard that. I'm like, God damn it, I can't survive. I'm not doing well. Why are the doctors arguing about the medicalization versus non-medicalization? Because it is a medical condition. I get what some of the researchers are saying. You will not find a silver bullet for this. You will get relief and you'll find ways around this with your diet, exercise, and being backed by proper professional advice on it, not what we glean on Instagram. But you're not going to be perfectly where you were maybe when you're 30. So we have to also accept aging as an absolute privilege, Michelle. I am happy to be 51. Happy. Lucky, exactly. I am so lucky. Again, another goosebumps moment. I know friends that are battling at the moment and would love to say that they're going to make it to 55, and they may not. When we're sitting there talking about the wrinkles and this, let's just calibrate what health as a value means to us. Health as a value needs to become things we wear on a t-shirt, not feminism must continue. Yes, that's an innately done conversation. But if we are not healthy, that is the most important foundation of anyone's home, mentally and physically and emotionally healthy. I don't think we can continue to be 75-year-old women and fulfilling life. And that light, and Maria and I talk about the light that it's disappearing. I just want that light. And that's what this space is for. If we can make one woman's life better, just one, and as a result, the community around her, our families, and all, we hold half the sky with everything we do. That's our job done. That's our job done.
That's beautiful. I love that. It's so true. It's and not to compare us to men, but I do think we have it harder. I really do think so. I think we juggle so much. And we're that sandwich generation as well.
Right. Every conversation is about that, about parents. Yesterday, another doctor came to visit us, talking about her father, talking about the children, every day. Last night, we've got one grown boy is living in London now. He's off on his journey. And our second one, they're individuating, they're doing their things. We're Gen Xers. Our parents told us what to do and we did it. And what we wanted to do, we hid. This generation are like, no.
I know, rightly or wrongly, but yes.
I know that's bonkers, by the way, but we're doing it, right? And then we've got to be a couple. And then we've got our parents going through their health journey. And we've got bills to pay. And, we've got all of the things. So the sandwich generation, I think we use it as words without the people outside of it are not really understanding how difficult it is. And our parents are not healthy. I don't think any of our parents are have ever optimized because they've been post-war generation that worked really hard, worked very, very hard to get us to where we were. So our children should never feel the pain that we did, is what I'd like to think. But it's a lot parenting teenagers. My God, we need medals, Michelle.
We do. We do. We do.
What's the holidays without the children?
Well, I'm in that stage now because one's 19 and the other one's 22. And it's like, yes, finally I see the light and I love them to bits, but I also love that I am stepping into my new world, my new life of being a midlife woman that still is hopefully healthy, still has ambition, still wants to do so much more with her life. And, if we have health systems like the one that you have that can equip that alongside us, well, you've got it made then. At least you have a chance to really be a better you, live a better life. I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I love, the pro age that's happening at the moment. So many women are being so real and vocal about it. It's amazing, isn't it? Because we used to hide. I think women, especially our mother's generation or even our grandparents, they were old once they got to our age in their 50s. They were old. And now it's like we've just turned that around. No, we're not. Women are embracing their age. And why the hell not?
I agree. Oh, I love that. I love that. My mother at 71 goes to the gym 5 days a week. She goes to aqua aerobics classes, goes to the local club afterwards to play cards, hangs out with her friends, goes on cruises, and you're like, "Hey, mom, do you want to have lunch? Sorry, I'm busy." Love.
I want to be like that.
I want to be like that now. She goes, "I don't have kids to worry about. My grandchildren are joyful. I don't have to discipline them, worry about them. There's all of you guys to worry about." But she's gone through her journey as well. That crew, by the way, look at what we're doing, and they're like, "We love what you're doing. I wish this was available." But it's that aging. It's such a beautiful thing. I don't want to be 20 again. By the way,
No, me too. I liked my 40s.
I like 40s too.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you. No way. I look at young people and I think, oh, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore.
And there's a sense of knowingness, I think, when you get older. I mean, I started a business at 50. How crazy is that?
See? It's all doable.
I didn't think of my age because I sometimes think I'm just like, I don't, I do go to bed very early and I know I get tired, but my ambition is different. If there's a drive, there's a sense of wanting to be more productive than I've ever been before. And you're in the same boat as well. Look at what you're doing, getting that voice of stories. And I love your podcast for this, Michelle, because I love that you're embracing all the various stories and the various lives that women are going through. I was listening to one yesterday while I was supermarket shopping, and I thought this has just made me buying Turkish bread at Coles in King's Cross so much more exciting. Thank you. Not it's like I don't want to listen to the Coles music. This is not the way forward. But it's so nice that the voices are being heard, and we need to talk about our libido. We need to talk about our vaginal health because it's not just if we're not vocal about this, how else are we going to lift that knowledge base amongst us? So no, I'm be 51. I'm looking forward to being 65.
Yeah. Yeah. And still rocking it and still being hopefully just as energized. There's no reason why you can't. So I am all for that and I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. I love it. And I can't wait to see you back in Ponti Health for, we're hosting a couple of lovely education events. We're opening the doors for no holes barred. So everything, because I'm so honest about my health. My boys, I'm sure, are just rolling their eyes right now every time. We've got two female dogs as well. One of them had a vulval infection. So the boy's like, oh my God, no more vulva talk in the house.
But hey, you think about when they eventually find, their life partner, they're going to be so supportive.
Yes, we're very lucky with our boys because of that. And they do talk about menopause. So our youngest went on a hike to the lighthouse in Palm Beach 2 or 3 years ago with his good friend. And they were talking about their mothers potentially going through menopause. And Rohan said, "Oh, that's what my parents are doing at the moment. They're working towards this women's clinic because it's apparently doesn't exist for menopause in this way." So when they were 16, 17, the boys, was it then they were doing this? Or maybe, 17 for them. And then when he said this to us, we both looked at each other like, oh my God, this is so good. They're talking about this. So that understanding as well, that we need to keep cultivating. I just want women to be braver. I want us to continue to have that light. I want us to come into our light because it's hard. It's hard being a woman. I'm not saying female, male, that argument is not what we're here for. It is hard being a woman. We hold so much in us and the mental load is tremendous. So If we can help at Ponti Health make it a little bit better, just keeping you healthy and just keeping that health front of mind, that would be amazing.
Fabulous. Well, Hema, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I am definitely going to come to the clinic because I have a few concerns that I need some definite advice on that I don't think I'm getting the answers that I need from my own GP. So, yeah, I look forward to that. And anyone else who is interested, I will leave your website in the show notes and they can reach out and come in for an initial consult. Absolutely. Now, I love to end all my podcasts with the same question. Is there a powerful quote that has resonated with you throughout your life that you'd like to share with us?
Oh my goodness. Yes. It was a remembrance shrine. And it said, we live through our deeds, not through in our years. And I'm saying this completely misquoting this, but it pretty much is about the services that we can provide rather than the years that we've lived. So I always use that as my North Star, simply because I like, for me, productivity, and I'm not talking about the productivity as in work, but I just want us to do for our light to shine as a community act for our families, for our friends, for the people that we see on the street, to just lift the world a little bit. Because I don't think the awfulness that we might be reading in the newspapers and everything else that, the world's constantly going to be in flux with this. You're always going to have two factions. We can do our part in making someone else's lives a little bit better. For me, that's a life.
Gorgeous. And I feel exactly the same. Loved it.
I love it. That's why when you reached out, I'm like, oh my God, I love her podcast. And now she's coming to school. So I would just like, that's how I think that ripples of kindness will just emanate. Like it'll just hit more spaces than it has.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
look forward to connecting again.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Your Second Act. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could rate and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to me.